Okay. Let
Do you have a permit to take pictures?
We're taking pictures of him, really. He's telling family stories.
We're with the Hughes family. We're here for the reunion, and this was.
Remember that, first of all, the Lord led the Jaredites over. Okay? The Jaredites we now know were the Olmecs. Okay? And then,
Place maybe in there.
It'll just take a second. He's fine.
Okay.
Let's do it before people come.
okay. And then we had the Nephites and Lamanites come over with Lehi. And they were the Mayans. Okay? Two things you have to see in this room. This is the Olmecs. Okay? This was the Olmecs, and the Olmecs worshipped a panther, a black panther, and they worshipped fish. That was their gods, I'm sorry, but that was their gods. Okay? When, in the book of Ether, when they had the big last battle of the Jaredites, a lot of the Jaredites decided that they were not going to go to the big last party. So they did not go to the hill Rama, which we now know as the hill Camorra, or the hill La Viega in Central America, okay, by the Yucatan Peninsula. So we see a lot of Olmec tradition inside of the Mayans. We have a lot of Jaredite tradition inside of the Mayans, okay? Inside of the Nephites and Lamanites. One of them was the flat forehead, where they would bind their kid and put the flat forehead, and they would put a bead right here, so that the child would go blind, would go cross-eyed. So royalty, that did not come with Lehi, that came with Mayan. So we perhaps either Brother Jared or somebody in that family was, we call it scaphocephaly, where the bones did not form properly and might have had a deviated eye, because it became a sign of royalty. That came from the Olmecs. That's the Olmec right there, and his forehead is not bent that way. Okay, so that came later. Okay, second over here is Cock Mole. This is Cock Mole right here. This guy up here is Cock Mole. Now this is all Mayan. Okay, and from Peru and Maya. This guy right up here with the big old beak, see the side Martian beak? Yeah. Okay? This was the #1 god of the underworld. Remember that the Nephites believed in celestial, terrestrial, telestial, right? Because they had the gospel after Christ left. Okay. Well, the Lamanites went back to their original gods about 300 years AD, and this was the god of the underworld, and this was the god where everybody had to go down to be with for a while, but nobody wanted to. So this was the god of the telestial kingdom, if you would, for the Lamanites. And so when you go to Central America, you see that figure on a lot of the stela, where they've written over the faces, and we now know their alphabet. You will see his face frequently when it comes to the death. Tomorrow I will show you Lady Ketan and her daughter. And when you read those stela, you go down in doubles. And when you get down to the part of her death, you will see his image on that sarcophagus, because that then gives the date. And you see the bars and the dots that gives the exact time of her death.
And what's his name?
As a queen. Cock Mole. Cock Mole. He was the big underworld god of death. Now the interesting thing is, we talked about the Olmecs over there. You see his earrings? The circle earrings were Olmec. The circle earrings were Jaredite. And we find them all over in Mayan times. And that's what first led scholars, long before we came along, to realize that a lot of the Olmecs or Jaredites did not go to the big last battle at the hill Rama. Some of them said, I'm not taking my wife and kids up there. I'm staying right here in New Mexico or southern Arizona or down in Peru. They just said, we're not going. And so a lot of that culture, Jaredite culture, came through, because whenever you see big or little earrings that are round, that's Mayan. Nothing to do with Lamanites. except that they absorb part of that culture. So that's copper right there. Okay, not a whole lot of this to see here. What else is? Oh yeah, look at this. This must come from Peru or Central America. Tomorrow I will show you some slides that look just like this. This is how the ordinary man and woman dressed. The Mayans back, say between 400 AD until about 1200 AD. Because remember, Columbus came in 1492 till 1500 AD. Most of our ancestors, Mayan ancestors, dressed just like those two and this guy. This is normal dress. Now tomorrow, do you see how the woman had a little veil across her? Okay, see the little veil across the woman? They were very modest. Now see, he has a little breastplate on right there. That's not an army breastplate. Tomorrow I'm going to show you some warrior breastplates where they have these big, huge breastplates. There's one guy, I'll show you a picture tomorrow, with one Mayan that has this big helmet on, and his whole body is covered with armor. So much so that he can't hardly even move to fight. He never got hurt. He didn't do any good either. He didn't hurt anybody on the other side. So this is how our ancestors dressed.
Why did they wear those big funny headdresses?
Again, it goes back to the Olmecs. The Olmecs used to actually pull their hair back and make a big ponytail, so that in battle they could grab, because all they had was just scimitars and swords and bows and arrows. So they would grab their enemy by the hair, and when they had the enemy by the hair, that meant that they had conquered the enemy. Earlier, after the Millennium era, okay, after about 300 AD, you actually did not want to kill your enemy. We had all these little chieftains all over Central America. And when the person that had the most ordinary people working for him, you know, they weren't necessarily slaves, they were just, you know, whoever had the most population in his kingdom was the most powerful. So in these battles, what they would do is when they would conquer somebody, okay, and they grab them by the hair or whatever, then all they would do is they would just cut them in the muscles a few places so they couldn't fight anymore. But they didn't want to kill them, because then that guy and his family then would come and live in that kingdom and pay that king taxes. It wasn't until after the Savior came, until we get to Mormon and Moroni, that it then became a war of total destruction. Satan then had so much power over their hearts, it was kill everybody, men, women, and children. Up until then it was just, let's get as many people to live in my kingdom as we can. Okay?
So if they had their hair up like this, they couldn't be captured as easily? Is that what you're saying?
No, it was a way where both sides were like this.
Oh.
And that would tell how you could actually capture them. What they would do is the generals and stuff, sometimes they would behead them, but usually they would just pull out their fingernails. Like at Bonham
No.
we see where they have just pulled out their fingernails of some of the generals. But the average person, when he went to war, if he didn't get killed, he lived just fine through several wars during his lifetime. So the idea was not to get killed. You couldn't run, because then they'd come find you and kill you, because you were a coward. But you didn't have to kill a whole bunch of people, you just had to capture a whole bunch of people. It was a war of power of population. But after the millennium, once the Savior came, then we have wars of destruction. The mindset changes. And so then we have Cumorah at the end. So that's how they dressed.
I didn't know they found all this stuff in Arizona.
Yes. Well, no, most of this is from Peru and Central America. Where does this say? Yucatan Peninsula?
Well, then why is it here?
Guatemala?
Because this is just a museum of
It's a big museum.
Mayan and artifacts.
I think that's neat, but why here?
Well, why here? Again, I think it's because in the spirit world they knew that Petra, who lived here, was Mayan, and it was a very natural thing for them to encourage
Interesting.
Mayan
To
artifacts.
get all of this stuff here. See, that's what's intriguing me. Why?
Because
I'm
down here
trying
we
to
had
figure it out, you know, the reasoning of it.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, let's go in here real quick.
On the cruise
All this
side,
stuff
you
is just
know.
interesting stuff. This is one of their other gods. You see, it looks kind of like a rat. He's just another one of their gods. They have lots and lots of gods. What have we got in here?
Isn't it interesting that one way or another?
Here's a nice Mayan couple. Here's a nice Mayan couple. Notice their eyes. Why are they
look
slanted?
Oriental.
They're Oriental for two reasons. Number one is because the Olmecs, when they came across, all they found was people that had come across the Bering Strait from Asia, and they intermarried. And of course Layman, when Layman and Lemuel landed with Lehi, they wanted also to dominate. So any indigent people that were already here, left over from either the Olmec or Jaredites, and that walk across the Bering Strait from Asia, they intermarried with them. And that's how they got the dark skin. Anybody in here that marries an Oriental person, your kids are going to have slanted eyes and dark skin, guaranteed, because it's a dominant trait. And so that's why we find a lot of Lamanites have dark skin. Did you ever see Adonash's skin when she was older? It was very dark. Between the Tucson sun and her genes, she looked very, very Lamanite. And she was very proud of it. In fact, if you look at Petra's eyes in that one of those books, you can see the little... So we do have some Japanese in us too, and some Chinese in us. Ain't much, but we're kind of Heinz 57.
Is this Tikal? Is that a picture of Tikal?
On the wall?
Yes, that is... You
Yeah,
climbed
because
that.
we went there.
Did you climb
Yeah, I
that?
got about halfway up, and then I had to
Yes.
take a picture of me as if I were coming
Bird
down.
Jaguar was
to
buried
pretend-
underneath there.
To pretend that I'd gone all the way.
Yeah, Meg's
But
climbed up that.
Benjamin went the whole way up and down,
Meg's climbed up that.
because that's where he served his mission. So we went over to get to see him.
I'm worn out just looking at it. Let's climb it.
Steep. You know, the idea was, the white man missed the whole idea. We now understand, you know how we climb upstairs, we start right here, and we climb upstairs like this.
Yeah.
Okay, have to understand that Quetzalcoatl was the god, and he was figured by a large snake. And the snake on the backside was like this, was like a stairway, especially at Chichen Itza. So the way that you're supposed to, if you're Mayan, you would climb this thing, is you would go like Quetzalcoatl. You would go here, 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 here. And you can get up twice as fast if you do it like this than if you go straight up. A lot less effort. A lot less effort. Now you actually go a little bit further, but on the muscles, it's a lot less effort. Yeah, that is a tikal. Bird Jaguar was buried underneath it.
You probably noticed the steps going up there are short steps. They're not very wide out.
That's right.
It's because it's to fit a foot going that direction versus going this direction.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Oh.
So we were probably related to these folks.
It's scary to see that look down.
Is this far off? And you go, wait a minute, how do I get down now? Yeah, do I jump? Okay, one more thing I want to show you, and that is Egyptian. We used to be criticized as a Mormon church for two things before I show you this. Number one is we claimed that Joseph got gold plates, and that the gold plates were still so shiny that people tried to steal them from him, right? Anybody that ever knows anything about metals knows that gold is going to turn a turquoise, like Marcia's shirt, in just a few years. In fact, some of the Indian silver that you buy, it will age in turquoise. Well, you know, the Navajo stuff, it's all going to age, okay? We were criticized because Mormons said these plates are going to keep their natural shiny appearance. And all of the scientists said, there ain't no way. If there's gold in there, they're not going to stay that way. Okay, it's going to tarnish. And then on top of that, we said in the Book of Mormon, especially in Utah, well, they used to mix their gold with copper. And that's what they made their instruments of war with. And in the Book of Mormon, it's called ziph. Copper alloyed with gold. It's called ziph. Gold because it makes it soft enough you can malleate it and make a nice sharp edge on your sword or your scimitar, okay? But copper to give it strength. When you take ziph and you have part gold and part copper, maybe even a little bit of lead or iron, that is what it looks like. That is a scimitar.
Green. Look at them all.
See the green?
Oh, I knew
That is a scimitar. And the only other people that had scimitars were the Egyptians. We got the scimitar, you could grab that And with your enemy, when you had him by the hair, you could cut a couple of muscles, you know, just to disable him, so that he would then take his family and join your group, your kingdom. And we were criticized because the non-LDS people said, number one, how would anything stay shiny? And number two is there was no Egyptians in the Mayans. The Mayans never came from Egypt. Well, we said that remember we had Joseph was sold into Egypt, right?
Yeah.
And Lehi's only like 5 generations after Joseph was sold into Egypt. So there was a lot of Egyptology. In fact, when on the plates, Mormon says we have our language mixed with Egyptian. It is an Egyptian language in Egyptian characters. That is proof that it was Egyptian. We have Egyptian in the Book of Mormon. That is a scimitar. It is spelled differently. In the Book of Mormon, Joseph spelled it Cimeter, and in the Egyptians, they spelled it with an S, scimitar. But notice the color. That's the way the ziph would have looked. So we're free on the whole Egyptian thing. Where we fall short is, look what color that is. I have a bell that comes from 2000 BC, made of ziph, at home, and it looks just like that. So it had to have been when Joseph said, I got the gold plates, and when everybody wanted to steal the gold plates, because once Martin and Oliver had, and David Whitmer had seen the gold plates, they told everybody, yes, they were gold plates. What that tells us then is that there had to have been very little copper or lead.
Almost pure.
Almost pure.
If you take a copper bracelet, it's going to turn green.
Yep. And in order for the scribe to be able to write on the plate, it had to be very, very soft. And so we know that those gold plates were gold plates. They were not ziph plates. That is ziph. When you read the Book of Mormon, ziph, that is ziph right there. Okay, the next thing that drove them crazy. We're going to be forever. We'll go to one or two more and we'll quit. Okay, another thing that drove him crazy was we said that Lehi came over, and as a Jew, he had a beard, right? And so we said, and of course no Orientals have beards. Orientals don't have beards, okay? They don't have to shave. So what the bottom line was that we were being criticized because there was no way, there was nowhere on any of these images that there were people with beards. And then all of a sudden, we got that flute right there. Come look at that flute right there.
It's got a beard.
And it showed up all over the place. And that's where you get 18 Rabbit. 18 Rabbit at Copan was the first one that they unearthed in about 1950, who was a Mayan king that had a full beard on his stela. He got that from Israel.
Did they shave?
Yes, sometimes they shaved. Now many of these did not have beards.
How'd they get away from
Once in a while, because sometimes they married the Oriental people that came across the Bering Strait, and they lost their beards.
They didn't have much hair or body hair.
Yes, Pima Indians don't shave even today. Pima Indians don't shave even today.
And what they'll do is they'll pluck out what they have.
Whatever they do
They'll
have.
pull out their peach fuzz so they don't have to shave.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you see some jewels. Can you imagine having this kind of jewels, these kinds of jewels here in Petra's home? I mean, don't you think that Petra is happy to have her ancestors, her Mayan ancestors, represented right here in her home? This was one of the rooms that Petra lived in, right here. This could have been a bedroom, or it could have been a sewing room, or it could have been who knows what. And now we have scimitars and bearded flutes, and we have Olmecs, and we have what ordinary Nephites and Lamanites look like, and that's her home. Now that's a yucky one. Whenever you see this, Chichen Itza, anytime you see a bowl like this, that usually means that that was used for a human sacrifice. So that's yucky.
Because isn't that the jaguar?
Yep, this is a jaguar. And I can show you tomorrow. I'll put this letter for you tomorrow that shows you a jaguar guy who was a Lamanite that is really powerful military person. and he dresses like a jaguar. Now, if that was flat on top, then it could have been a child's stool. And kings sometimes sat on thrones that were like this, that were big jaguars, but they were flat on top. Whenever you see the bowl, that means human sacrifice. So that one, Chucky. But look at this one room. We've got Ziff. We've got a bearded guy. We've got 4 breastplates here. 1, 2, 3, 4 breastplates. We have a breastplate and a pin, and we have a bowl down here that is more gold than anything else. To see, now this one here's copper because it's orange. This one's copper and lead. But look at that. Do you see how gold they look? And they said, Joseph couldn't get gold plates from Central America, not gold plates. Guess what? The Spaniards sent tons of gold and silver back to Spain. And there's still remnants left. When the Book of Mormon says that they sought after, when they became wicked, they sought after gold and silver and precious things. There was gold and silver and precious things in
Where do
America.
these people think all that gold came from to find in the Cayalians in the Caribbean Sea? That these
Well, non-Mormon scientists are very defensive. You're right, they're very defensive because this kind of stuff, bearded stuff and scimitars and gold, show up all the time, but that means that the Book of Mormon must be true. And they will not accept that.
Yeah.
Okay. See the Mayan fine apparel? They would use this for their shawls, you know, and for their, what are they called? Their, you know, when they have a hole in the middle. Serapis. And the Book of Mormon says that they dressed in fine apparel. There it is, folks. Definitely Mayan.
Woven too, it's woven.
Very nicely woven.
Look how thinly woven that is. That must have been beautiful. So thin.
Now this one doesn't belong. That one looks
That's
more
valuable.
Anasazi. This is more Anasazi. This is more Hoboken than Mayan over here. That looks to me like Hopi. Doesn't it look like Hopi to you?
It does, very
Like a
much
Hopi
so.
rug?
It's more
Don't
like
take
our
that with it.
reservation Indian stuff.
That one's not one that we want to look at.
It's from Peru, South Coast Peru.
Yeah, well,
It's still not ours.
turn it off, Chuck. Okay, when Hiram tried, come on in, Marsh. When Hiram tried to take Petra's life, when Hiram tried to murder Petra and then kill himself, one newspaper reporter told us what room that it took place in. And when you look at the layout of the Stevens home, it was this room. So this room's a bad room for me. This is not a room I want to stay in. They must have had a bed somewhere here. Had a bed somewhere here, and there was a fireplace. And they had a bed here. And this is where Hiram tried to kill his wife. So I'm leaving this room.
And this room is the one that has the Saguaro cactus spines for the ceiling. You can see that better here.
To get the heat. But according to the one newspaper clipping that I have, and the family has never said where it was, but this is not the room I want to stay in. Wait till Marcia needs you. Have a seat, Mom.
Mom, look at these wood floors. They're gorgeous. Look at this.
Yeah, that looks like it might be the original.
That's what I'm saying. This is too modern.
This has been
This
replaced.
is original.
Okay. Tomorrow I'll show you one of these. Excuse me, higher up in rank. I'll show you a slide tomorrow. How Mayan soldiers, mainland soldiers, the more captives that they took, not the more people that they killed, but the more captives that they took, okay, for their king, they went up in rank, and with each rank was a different dress, a different apparel, okay? When you got to the highest rank, you got to pick to be whatever animal you wanted. And the highest rank of all, like if you were, who would it be? Pick one. There's so many Zarahemna. Zarahemna would have dressed with the jaguar because the jaguar was the highest rank that you could get as a Mayan. So he would have complete jaguar skin on and a jaguar mask on. And before that, you could be a parrot, Now, Pinocchio doesn't count. A lot of this is man, this is all Anglican made. But you could have been a parrot, okay? You could have been an owl. You could have been a dog. They had dogs in Central America. Usually you'll find a peccary mask too, because some of them chose to be peccaries. I don't see any peccary masks.
But
Anyway.
this says Brenda and Lazar. That's one of our
That's
names.
how Liz is. All this stuff, with the horns and stuff, they did not believe in Satan. They believed in Cottonmole, the god of the underworld. So a lot of this is definitely very, very much Anglo. Yeah, with a cigarette. Now that really goes back a long ways.
Now, these are also small. Does that mean that their faces and heads were that small?
No. They were larger. I'll show you on the slide tomorrow.
Okay.
I got a slide. If Chuck can get my PowerPoint to work, I'll show you.
These aren't very real.
But some of these are real. This one here, not real. I mean, this shows the kind of thing that would have been real. This one here, probably this kind of a wolf thing, maybe that kind of a wolf thing.
That's armadillo.
Yeah, an armadillo. Yeah, that's what it is, which is Texas, which does go down in northern Mexico a little bit. But most of these masks are phony, but some of them are very real.
Margaret. Go on with
Yeah.
a cigarette.
Uh-huh.
This one here is very real.
That's totally.
Notice how some of them do have beards, because some of them had beards. They came from the house of Israel. Okay, let's keep moving. Here we are up here in Arizona. There's Reno, Nevada. There's Detroit, Michigan. So we're looking right down here where our ancestors came from.
Show us where you're going to be.
On our mission, right here, that is Minnesota, Wisconsin, the top third of Wisconsin and Minnesota. And they say what Cheryl just said, that little city right there, little town right there, is supposed to be the coldest place in America. That's probably where we're going to be sent.
You're close to Margaret right here.
Yeah.
This is good.
Here we have one Lamanite that has just captured another one. He has him by the hair. Notice the scimitar. We just saw scimitar in the other room, okay? And he's cutting some muscles on his back right there so that he cannot fight him anymore. But he won't kill him because he wants him and his family to join his kingdom. Notice that he has all of the heavy clothes on to protect himself. And the other guy doesn't have any clothes on, so that's probably a Nephite. Remember how the Nephites,
Yes.
especially Captain Moroni, how he got all of his people covered with clothes and with helmets and with breastplates? And the Lamanites were just naked tinny. They were just streaking around in the battle. That's probably a Nephite that has just conquered a Lamanite, right there. And there's a scimitar, which is Egyptian. Pretty cool stuff.